I'm in a real identity crisis here, Al.
Nothing penetrates within Dawson.
Who do you see in the mirror? Hey!
Earl Grey, hot.
Hello and welcome to the Incomplete series, your incomplete guide to every television show you've never watched. This is the podcast where we watch the very first episode of a TV series and then the very last episode of a TV series and just try and figure out what happened in the middle. My name's Morgan, and joining me again after missing the last episode is my good friend Jeremy Wiseman, who, if I was to cast him in a movie, it would be a biopic about Malcolm Turnbull. No Bull. You'd play the young Malcolm Turnbull.
Young Malcolm Turnbull.
Young Malcolm Turnbull.
Okay.
Right.
So I guess for any listeners that don't know what I look like, just imagine a young
Malcolm Turnbull.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for. And to the right of him, on my side...
What? Stage right?
Stage right.
To the left of your microphone.
Port side. The nautical now. Is my good friend Aaron Boughton. And if I would cast him in the reboot of Dexter... Aaron, how are you?
Am I playing Dexter?
You are playing Dexter.
Okay.
For those playing at home, Dexter in the last episode goes to he moves to Canada as a lumberjack. So I figured you with the beard.
I can do that.
So it'd be
I've heard it's terrible, but
spin-off
I can do
Dexter.
that.
Yeah, spin-off Dexter.
All right. Thank you. I'm well.
It's good to see you as well. And lastly, I have Scott, who I would cast as a young Bill Gates in the war of Apple and Microsoft. It would be called Enemy at the Gates. Bill Gates story.
Sorry. I just want to point out that mid-reading that out, you had to look back at your notes to check who Bill Gates worked for between Apple and... Yes, Microsoft.
Well, it's clear who won that war.
Well, I can't. I mean,
Off your iPad.
I've got it written in my hand.
What
Gates, Microsoft, Jobs,
what
Apple.
other computer companies were you going to... confusing
Linux.
Linux. Pronounce it properly, otherwise we're going to marginalise our tech-savvy listeners.
Of course. Those. I didn't cast myself in anything, guys, so I just figured.
No?
Yeah, no. I mean, these are all my movies, so...
Yeah, Morgan auditioned for all three parts.
Just didn't get any of them. You got me. I'm
going to put you in a biopic of a young Glenn Robbins.
Oh, thank you. I like that.
The Glenn Robbins story, how he rose to
like
fame.
when I was writing Russell Coit.
It's called Working Like a Dog.
Oh, that is good.
It's actually a good name.
Yeah? Huh? You like that?
I do, actually. Do you like the movie No Bull?
I do.
Turnbull story? The Malcolm Turnbull story?
But there is bull.
There's a lot of bull.
Yeah.
But let's not get into the whole thing of politics. I love my political rants. But it's nice to have you back, Jez. I mean, I must admit, the last podcast we did, it ran so smoothly. No interjection at all.
I enjoyed my vacation.
You did?
For the listeners who weren't aware, I went on a hike around some I don't know how I did that. I've got nothing. No, I had to take work off because I had exams. But it's good to be back. I failed horribly. No, I don't.
So it wasn't worth it?
No, it wasn't worth it.
So you're coming back to the podcast then?
Yeah, I'm coming back to the plan A. My plan B's failed, so it's up in flames. No, look, as we're recording, we haven't released the episode that I didn't partake in, so I haven't been able to check and see how you guys did without me, but I assume that it's going to be our lowest rating episode yet. So for anyone listening to this first, don't bother going back and listening to True Blood. It's crap. It's complete garbage.
Well, speaking of complete garbage, we watched Xena.
Whoa, hey,
Princess. Sorry, you're saying it wasn't complete garbage? All right, well, let's not give anything away. But guys, what did we know about Xena before we watched this?
I definitely seen little bits and pieces of it as a very young child, maybe the age of, I don't know, 10-ish.
That makes sense.
Timeline checks out.
I think I'd seen more Xena than I'd seen Hercules.
Yeah, me too.
I had definitely seen more Xena than Hercules. I know Hercules came first, and Xena was the spin-off of Hercules.
Yeah.
I thought it was the other way around.
No. I can remember the ads being on TV for her being in Hercules and then them spinning that off.
Yeah.
She was, I think I might have, I don't know if I'm divulging too much, but I think she was meant to, they were going to close off her story arc.
Yeah, she was going to die in
received,
Hercules, but it tested very well.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it Lucy Lawless that tested very well, or the character that tested very well?
I'm not sure.
It's one and the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she's not Xena. She's Lucy Lawless.
Yeah.
We should got to keep that in mind. Jez, you seem to be the most bullish about Xena of all of us.
Yeah.
Can you explain why?
I just thought it was, it's not the most well-written or well-made, or it didn't have the largest budget, didn't have the best CGI.
Doesn't have all the bells.
Didn't have the worst of all those.
Didn't have the best cast, but
didn't have the bells and whistles of
can't
other TV
say,
shows.
you can't say it wasn't entertaining.
I must admit, it was entertaining.
Oh, it was barely.
Historically accurate? No. Were they mixing most Asian cultures into one sort of medley? Yes, but
Specifically with New
entertaining,
Zealand
yeah,
culture.
still entertaining. Yeah.
We may as well just jump straight into the first episode.
The episode begins with an iconic image. Xena, atop her horse, riding through a war-torn village. She's having flashbacks to the previous evening, with shots of her pillaging the town.
Where are your parents?
The other side. They were killed by Xena, the warrior princess.
Having reached some sort of epiphany regarding her cruel ways, she decides to hang up her breastplate and hula disc weapon thing, only to get the taste for the hero life after saving some random women from a group of savage warriors. One of those random women, Gabrielle, feels betrothed to Xena and joins her in her travels.
Xena, I'm not cut out for this village life. I was born to do so much more.
Xena, now on the search for redemption, decides to head back to her hometown, Amphipolis. Humiliating a maimed Cyclops along the way, she makes it back to the village. The townsfolk, however, are hostile, clearly still hung up on the fact that she was evil. They ask her forcefully to leave. Even Xena's mother doesn't want to have a bar of her.
You're all in great danger.
Even if that were true, we would rather die before accepting help from you again.
Not this time, Xena!
The warriors from earlier arrive to accost the people from Amphipolis, so Xena challenges the ringleader Draco, with whom she has a sordid past, to an old-school gladiator duel. Whoever touches the ground first dies.
Get him, Xena!
Naturally, Xena defies gravity multiple times and defeats him. The townsfolk are back on her side, but seemingly, she's got more sins to be atoned for.
I'm just gonna kick it off with she completely defies the laws of physics with the way she just jumps around and seems to just like spin in the air just for it doesn't stop.
I reckon the first 10 days of principal photography for this show was just random cutaways of her just flipping, and they just cut them in to just get out of story problems.
Yeah. So what happened was they got it a cheap 2 days on some sort of acrobatics trapeze hire. Whoever the guy is that organizes the harness to make you do aerial tricks. They had that for 2 days. All right, we've got to get as much footage as we can
48 hours straight
of you just flipping. And we'll just have different backdrops that you can flip through.
And
we'll work
for
it into
6
the
seasons.
We'll work it into the show afterwards.
There's a lot of that in this first episode.
Did she do the Xena call live, or did they put that in after?
I think
post.
That'd be after.
I'm not going to try and replicate it here. Yeah.
It's very Amazonian kind of weird thing.
Just that first fight that she has with the henchman. The fight scenes are just wonderful. They're so bad. No one gets killed. Everyone's just not.
So this is. I was going to bring this up,
PG-rated.
but you've touched on this earlier. And I want to address it. These sorts of shows, they always seem to have a G-rated only fight scenes.
So that 4:30 in the afternoon.
All they ever do is they'll clash swords 4 times, and then she smacks them over the top of the head with the hilt of the sword.
Non-lethal damage.
Or just a punch or something like that. Or and they just seem to go down.
Yeah.
And then they're not
And
dead.
rinse and repeat with 100 henchmen.
Yeah.
Clash swords 4 times, smack them on the head. Even just hit him in the chest with the sword. Don't show it going in, or don't show any blood, but at least do something other than just punch them in the head.
One question I want to pose to you guys is: who is the worst actor in episode 1? Who is the poorest?
Gabrielle.
Good. Glad we're on the same page there.
Yeah,
She's horrendous.
Draco's
Draco's
sidekick.
Yeah, so Draco's got this
Yeah,
sidekick.
Oh god, that guy. I forgot about
He's
this guy.
just he's one of the bad guys, but what's the best way to describe him? He's just really bad at being a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's just got no wits about him. Completely incompetent. It just is ready to kill anybody, including Draco, at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Whose side are you on?
But Gabrielle is hands down the worst
Yeah.
actor in that show. But you called it. We had this little discussion pre podcast, and Jez said to me that she looks more. She doesn't look like a warrior or anything like that. She looks like a really bad person in a fan getup for the show.
Cosplaying as a
character.
Half-assed cosplay.
She just does not. She's not convincing at all.
In the first episode, she's meant to just be some village person.
She's just a norm.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's exceptionally uninspiring as a
Comes along
character.
the ride.
Oh,
Yeah.
so irritating.
And then
her enthusiasm is just too much.
I know.
her plan to Xena, I don't know, it's like she goes through her town, and does she save her town, or is that the town she's pillaging? Or I don't know. It's murky at the start.
Very hard to say.
But anyway, she decides that she's going to catch up with Xena, and her plan is to lie on a road until someone comes along to
pick her up.
Yeah, I don't know. She's just lying. In
She was
the middle
praying
of the
to the
road.
gods, though.
I've been lying here, supplicating myself to the great god Hermes. And here you are. It's a miracle, don't you think?
Why would Xena want her? What a dead weight. Why would she want her on board? That's the sort of like. That's
I have nothing to offer you. Take me with you.
These are the solutions she comes up with to all the problems. Oh, let's just play dead in the middle of a road and see what
For a
happens.
couple of hours.
Yeah.
One of the best things in this show I found as well was just the sort of background chatter that would happen.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it's just like clearly just added that in at post.
Are you talking about like when
Townsfolk.
she turns up to the town and you just hear there was one guy like who was off camera?
Yes.
And you would hear him like his voice.
You didn't notice it?
You
All the
hear him
time.
every time. Like he was like pretty much
Yeah,
like
get
yelling
out,
at
we don't
him.
want you
Yeah,
here,
just yelling at people like you suck, Xena.
My favorite one was after. Actually, we'll get to the Jay Lagaya appearance, but he's a national treasure for New Zealand, Jay Lagaya. But there was that one where like they make the deal, and like he's like goes to kill him, and then he gets up and goes away, and then some guy in the background goes, "No deal, kill him."
Not this time, Xena. Never again. Get him, Xena.
Can you shut up, please? Like, I'm handling this.
Yeah, he really changed his tune, that background guy.
Oh, that's great.
He hated Xena, but then as soon as it was beneficial for him, he was like,
he's on.
get him.
I want to talk about that whole scene itself, the staff fight. Like,
Oh, the
when they
gladiator style
Yeah,
duel.
I'm sorry. Like, just walking on people's heads. Those people just
Oh,
collapse.
yeah.
Oh, they're down. Like that's not happening. That's not going to work. I understand it's meant to be cool, but he's just like standing on people's heads and they're just taking
And
it.
jumping from person to person.
Like, and Xena, while they're standing on, the townspeople's heads fighting, Xena's whacking at his feet with her stick,
And he's jumping to dodge.
and just hitting
clopping
people in the
people.
head with
Yeah, I know.
that stick.
No wonder these people hate her.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even be there if she hadn't gone.
Yeah.
What I love though is that Jay Lagaya is like 100. He's a big man. He'd be like 100 kegs, and he's just standing on people's heads. Like,
So, Jay Lagaya.
yeah, Jay Lagaya.
Explain.
So he's just like a really friendly looking like New Zealand guy, and he's a national treasure. Like if the show was in New
Sorry to
Zealand,
cut in. Aaron, I think you're the only person who doesn't know who he is.
how do you not know Jay Lagaya?
Yeah.
Like, he looks familiar.
Yeah, because he's...
You
national
say it like
treasure.
it's a household name, though.
It is a household name.
definitely.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
He's on the podcast next week.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Him and Gary Young.
We'll get to Gary.
We'll get to Gary Young later. But
Of course, Xena being filmed in New Zealand.
yeah, so
Comprised
the
of
only
about
New Zealand
98% New Zealand actors.
only New Zealand actor that didn't appear in it was Sam Neill.
Sam Neill, yeah.
So
Oh, well, that we know of.
I don't think he appeared in it.
It wasn't doing
Sure?
anything better.
I reckon he got a
No,
cameo.
he Jurassic Park was 95. when
He
it
would have been
started.
like
He was-
Zeus or
He
something.
was way above that.
Yeah, but he goes back to New Zealand for Christmas, and then while he's there,
He's just in the
Sam
background
Raimi-
of a shot.
Do you reckon
Yeah.
Peter Jackson then directed a couple episodes? Then you think?
For sure.
Definitely would have come in, right?
Yeah.
I assume
Seems
so.
like his wheelhouse.
He probably would have. Yeah, exactly.
I just can't see how you don't know Jay Lagaya. I mean,
What's he in?
so he's in Star Wars. He plays like one of the Naboo captains. He surfaces in like heaps of Australian stuff. He was in Play School.
Yeah,
Like
he's
he-
in play school for...
like-
I remember
Oh,
in
he
play school
plays
for a long time.
Like his acting repertoire is like he hosted that Australian reality show Surprise Surprise. It was like the Australian version of Punk'd.
Was he one of the...
He
How do I not know this?
He hosted that to being in like Hollywood movies. Like
Yeah.
he's got like a massive
Like Xena.
Was he one of the gladiators?
He was in some. Yeah, he was in like the New Zealand version of Boys to Men. I can't remember what they were called.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, really?
Clearly, I'm the problem
Yeah,
here.
you are. I know a lot about New Zealand subculture. Apparently, I didn't
We'll
realize.
put up a poll and see who knows Jay Lagaya and who doesn't.
Jay Lagaya is a national treasure
But he's
of New Zealand.
Well, no. He's
International
He's
treasure.
a successful enough New Zealander now that we've claimed him as our own.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
we do with all
Oh, right.
successful
Yeah.
New Zealanders.
Once they get to a point, once they get a decent body of work together, which like we'll take it
Yeah,
from
well,
here because you're not going to have a really good career if you aligning yourself to New Zealand.
no one
No
wants
offense to our New Zealand listeners, but look, it is what
Yeah,
it is.
offense meant.
Offense
And
meant.
Please take offense.
One other thing from the first episode was the run-ins with the Cyclops that both Xena and
My
Gabrielle
God.
had. So a Cyclops just guarding this little bridge, apparently
Yeah,
likes to eat people.
Yeah.
One
Standard
time
Cyclops
tried to eat
tactics.
Xena, and so she just took his eye out as punishment.
His single eye.
Yeah.
rough.
That was fun, though.
I
enjoyed those encounters.
He's pretty crap Cyclops.
Did you? He is terrible.
Firstly,
good sense of smell, though.
all the Cyclopses I've seen in the past have like a loincloth, but he was fully clothed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like he's already got like self-esteem problems. He's got body
Xena gave him the
issues.
gift of shame.
Yeah. Well, I think he was born with shame, and she just exacerbated it. He didn't have a weapon. All he's got is like some sort of cage.
Yeah.
Traps Gabrielle in. And Xena, like, not only did he already have low self-esteem, the way she defeats him is she dacks him and he trips over.
Yeah, that's
trips
right.
over his pants.
That seems so... And then he starts just sobbing on the ground.
Yeah, she's bullying.
It's very
the
pathetic.
Cyclops.
Why didn't she just kill him? I don't get it. If he was eating people, just kill him.
Because she's horrible.
Likes him to
Clearly,
likes
he
him
didn't
to-
learn his lesson.
Well, he's gonna
Cyclops.
starve because he can't catch anyone. Because except for Gabrielle is a moron. Like, yeah, when he puts that cage in her, did she not notice the 18-foot giant wandering around? Like,
hiding behind a 2-foot rock.
yeah, like I'm pretty sure you're gonna see him. Like, it's not exactly subtle. Like,
And he's blind.
He's blind.
they point out how he's really stupid, so he's not exactly going to be like tact in his approach. Like, come on.
A blind Cyclops with low self-esteem
Yeah,
manages to defeat Gabrielle.
He'd be like what? He's about 18 feet tall. Like
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah.
Probably weighs about 600 kilos. Like it's the size of a small car.
Yeah.
Didn't see that guy wandering around.
One thing that really took me by surprise was that Xena was like a villain to begin with.
Yeah,
I had
didn't
no
know
idea. That's what I was like. Oh well, Xena's like a hero. She saves people. She's a warrior princess. Blah 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 blah. But it starts off and she's like having flashbacks to like the night before,
When she was leading an army.
Yeah.
What happened to
just
the army, by
tearing
the way?
apart this city. And there's no catalyst for why she's changed now. Like we start to know, and she feels like some regret for like what she's done. But like, why?
It
Like
must
when
have-
she's saving those women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
must,
that
it must have
kid
been.
comes out, right?
There's a kid that comes out. It's like,
a
oh, you
cold
killed
open.
Xena
yeah.
killed my parents, and she's like, oh, well, that's a shame. And then like leaks
then
some food for him.
Have a wheel of cheese.
Have a wheel.
But
Have a
then
gigantic wheel of camembert.
That was the
That'll sustain me for a week.
classic medieval food. So either
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
big loaves of bread or big wheels of cheese.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Two choices.
Well,
We got bread, we got cheese.
I just don't understand where the character motivations come from. I think that was my biggest gripe with this show.
Yeah.
Like they just say things like
Especially in the last
she's
episode.
trying to redeem herself. Yeah, but why? Like,
one-
there's no
yeah.
reason to.
One village of peasants too many.
Yeah.
There's only so
apparently.
much peasant blood she can have on her hands.
She really looked like she's having like a flashback to just like a really wild night.
They might have. They might
Oh
have.
man, I do not remember what I did last night.
They might have
I killed 10,000 people.
They might have elaborated on why she changed her,
Yeah,
allegiance
Somewhere
in later
between.
episodes.
I
Because
don't think so.
obviously, like her village and the village that she came from and her family, she was.
Amphipolis.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is she a princess then if her mum's just like a bartender?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Warrior princess, different.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the subtlety of
Yeah,
that.
But she has powers, right?
I don't think so. She's got the little blade spinny thing.
I feel like her mum's probably not really
And
her
she can
mum.
fly through the air at jackknife without pushing off anything.
I reckon she's
that's-
adopted.
Ooh.
I think a lot of the
Speculation. Sorry, I'm jumping into it too early. But
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that these setups, I think a lot of it must have been done in Hercules. That's all I can.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Because
That is true. Because
'cause-
they had 3 or 4 episodes of Hercules to build that.
And I assume she's a villain in Hercules, right?
Maybe, Hercules must have changed her mind. Peasants always get a really raw deal in these sorts of shows. Peasants to be a peasant in the Middle Ages was just it.
brutal.
They deserve it for not owning land.
The thing is, but what are they pillaging? They always get pillaged. There's nothing to pillage. These people don't even have like a wheel of cheese to eat.
Yeah, they pillage.
What are they taking from them? Their rags? Their turnips?
I'd say
I don't understand why they're so hell-bent on all these warlords are like, oh, I guess got a free schedule today, might as well go pillage some
peasants.
villages.
Just
to
their favourite
take
pastime.
shit from some peasants, even though we know they've got nothing.
You can't let your warriors just sit there and get rusty, all right?
No, you gotta go out and slaughter people that are defenseless.
Guys, come on, you pillaged us last week. We've
We've not built up any more riches
fresh
since then.
crops. Partly re-thatched our roofs, and you're back.
Getting back to when Xena goes back to her village originally, and the townspeople confront her, and they're like, look, Xena, we want you out of here. And the guy in the background's like, get out of here. There's a point where the old mate with the kind of like half turban, he says his son's died as a result of her.
Yeah,
like the main sort
Both
of
his sons.
Both his sons, apologies. He says because Draco's army is riding through there and they're pillaging and Draco's got him representing Xena, like going, oh, you know, and she's like, oh no, she's changed. Like, well then how come there's an army charging through screaming your name and we're using your banners? And then like I think Gabrielle steps in and says, no, she's changed. And then they go, oh, okay. Well, what are you going to do about Draco's army? Hang on. You just said it was. They just claimed it was Xena's army, and then she said no, it's Draco's army, and they just like, oh yeah, convinced of that. Like they were saying it wasn't.
Why didn't you say so?
Did anyone else notice that?
No, I didn't.
It was a massive, just like error, and like it's like this is what I'm saying. They had screenplay issues. Clearly, no one read it. Like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Well, we've already filmed it now, so we'll leave it in.
Her spinny disc thing. I don't know what we want to call it.
Frisbee.
Beyblade. Beyblade.
Beyblade.
Yeah, all right. Xena's Beyblade frisbee. I really want to know the deal with that thing because...
How's it work?
Yeah, well, no, not so much, like... I understand that she can maybe, like, throw it and it bounces off things and comes back to her and, like, all right, I'll suspend my disbelief that far. But, like, this thing can break through a steel blade, but then when it hits somebody's face, it just, like, slaps
Pings
them.
off, yeah.
It should go clean through.
Yeah.
Like she uses it to just knock people out, but then also just cut shit down.
And then she just catches
and
it,
then
right?
she just catches it.
With a razor sharp all the way around the
PG
edge.
TV violence.
Yeah.
I don't know, some consistency in the way that your frisbee works.
I want to know how it works.
I don't think
Come on, Xena.
consistency
That's
in
too
this
much
show
violence.
weren't exactly...
Do you reckon they had a toy line of those things?
Oh,
Do you reckon they sold them?
Must have.
It'd be chaos. Kids in the playground just knocking each other's teeth out.
I get the sense that
When
show
it hits your face, it'll just slap you.
I don't think it must not have been that big in the US. I think it must.
Yeah.
I think it was bigger. Like,
Do you reckon it was big here because it was filmed in New Zealand?
I think that was probably a factor.
I reckon it would have been picked up in a lot of regional.
Yeah.
I think it was probably big. Yeah, abroad.
People
like
that
big in-
Community TV.
Yeah, or just countries that non-English speaking countries.
Couldn't pay for good entertainment.
But they could fix the script up a little bit even when they do the dub.
dub over it.
Like, maybe we should tidy up this plot point. So I reckon it did really well where it was dubbed.
Do you reckon they dubbed over that guy in the background?
For sure.
Yeah, get him, Xena.
Get him, Xena!
Integral part.
I'd like to hope so.
He's the
my favourite
highest
guy.
paid actor in the first episode.
He's my favourite guy.
The show, though, so there might not have been picked up in the US, might not have been many toy lines, but there would have been a lot of Xena show bags. Like mid-90s to late 90s.
Yeah.
Like the amount of breastplates and little plastic swords and plastic discs.
Yeah, definitely would have had a
Rife for
sword
show bagging.
that'd have like a button on it and it'd do the Xena call.
Yeah. Little inflatable Gabrielle.
Follow you around, just tied to your ankle.
Yeah. It's about as useful as she is. No, it's not inflatable. It's a lead Gabrielle. So you get the
really weigh you down.
the real Xena experience of having a dead weight.
Do we want to jump into the last episode?
Yeah, I think
it's
I
best
know
to-
we all have a lot to say about it, so
I really feel we got a lot to cover.
let's get into it.
The episode begins with a monk from the Far East interrupting an intimate moment between Xena and Gabrielle. A demon has returned and is terrorizing tea houses. Xena and Gabrielle set out to defeat the demon, but this isn't the first time Xena has been to the Far East.
I didn't know you were there, Xena.
Yes, I was there. I was there.
Cue a long, convoluted flashback, during which it is revealed that Xena once pillaged Japan in her evil warlord days. She took prisoner a young Japanese royal who she planned to ransom to the girl's father, but accidentally fell in love with her.
The truth is, Gabrielle, she broke my heart.
Her Japanese lover perished, and while trying to scatter her ashes, Xena accidentally burned down a village and the 40,000 people in it. Also, it turns out, she sort of helped create the demon. Back in the present, Xena is killed fighting the demon's army, but this is intentional. The only way to defeat the demon is to fight him as a spirit. Gabrielle is then tasked with bringing Xena back. In the climactic final act atop Mount Fuji, Xena defeats the demon. Gabrielle manages to restore Xena to mortal form with a kiss, we think, and Xena and Gabrielle set off to Egypt, with Xena dropping plenty of hints that she might actually be dead.
Where do you start? with that. There are so many things.
Let's just get started. Let's just address the elephant in the room. The geography. It's just out of control.
I want a map of this world.
Yeah,
So what happens their travel plans.
So they're in... So let me explain.
Thank you, please.
Please explain.
So the episode starts...
Sherpa Jez.
Episode starts, they're in Greece.
Okay.
And this
Old
guy
back
from
there, monk.
Japan
Yeah.
stumbles upon Xena and Gabrielle, who are...
Wandering from Japan to Greece.
Yeah, he just walked across.
Okay.
As you do.
I feel like things are about to get pretty spicy between Xena and Gabrielle, because things like they're full-fledged lesbians now.
Yeah.
They're not beating around the bush anymore.
No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. It's pretty much.
Yeah. So then they jump on a ship and they sail to Japan, which is only like in that
That's
day.
a straight line.
Yeah, and when this was set, that'd be like 6 months.
Yeah.
On a boat.
That's
on a
fine.
tiny little Japanese fishing boat.
If Seth Cohen can sail to Tahiti,
in a
surely
catamaran.
Xena can get to Japan.
In a trailer sailor. Yeah.
Besides, it took about 6 months to get through all those flashbacks that they have.
That's
on the
true.
boat, so
She
killed
had to
some
tell
time.
Gabrielle
But this
the story.
mean how old is Xena though? Because then she's gone to Japan as a warlord, conquered it, and then coming back home, reformed her ways in like 6 or 7 years, and then she's going back.
Is she like a demigod, maybe?
Yeah, she's
maybe.
something going
she
on.
was something like that. Yeah.
The other thing I want to address is the timeline of how like the samurai, like she's fighting samurais,
Yep.
but then a season before from what I understand, I know because it's in the credits, she's fighting Romans. I don't think those two met
Feudal
up.
Japan and
There's a good history of Japan video that you should watch, Morgan. You'll learn a lot. We'll post it up.
All right,
It's
cool. Maybe I'm
spectacular.
wrong. I don't think I
Yeah.
am, but maybe I am.
I think you're right though. I think
I-
samurais were around like 600-700 AD, and the Romans peaked about like 50 AD.
Most of the empire was like BC.
There's a fair bit of AD action.
A little bit AD action. I don't know.
Regardless,
I'm not a
yeah.
historian. Like I'm not. And I'm just
Not
saying.
sure it isn't
I'm just
even the
saying-
same world.
I'm just saying that I don't think Xena is historically accurate, and I have an issue with that.
That's a
Well-
big call, Morgan. I don't know about
I'm
that.
dropping that right now.
Let's talk about what she did to that Japanese village.
Okay. Yep. So she when she's an evil warlord, somehow working in tandem with a Japanese warlord,
Yep.
they're in cahoots, and she kidnaps this young girl who's a royal, I think,
Something like that.
and then I don't know, like they go in to see her father, like she goes to ransom her to her father, and instead the girl kills her father, who
Yep.
becomes a demon.
Yep.
And then the girl, I can't remember how she dies. How's she die?
She kills herself.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 'Cause she
Wait, doesn't
dishonored-
Xena kill her?
No, she
well,
kills herself
no.
because she dishonored her family because she killed her dad.
Oh, right.
It's easy to mistake because she stabs herself and then Xena screams at the top of her lungs and lops her head off for no
right.
reason.
My mistake.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's just how
Anyway,
Xena deals with
yeah.
shit.
So because she's
That's how she
dishonored,
grieves.
she's dishonored her family. Xena tries to take her ashes back to her hometown, but the townsfolk don't want her.
They don't
coming
want her
back.
there.
Yeah, she's trouble.
So they're all booing her and they're spitting on her.
And for some reason, Xena's just looks like absolute trash now.
she looks
Yeah.
like a geisha,
Like a
who's
burned out
homeless
geisha.
geisha.
who's
Yeah.
been on a 4-week bender.
Hair's cut short. She's drinking rice wine out of like a jug.
In the middle of a snowstorm, just wearing those wooden shoes,
Wooden
just
shoes,
sliding
yeah.
around everywhere.
and then all the townspeople confront her with a whole lot of fire. And then
So she gets she has a swig of rice wine and then spits that through the fire onto
Yeah.
I think
Two dudes.
2 people catch on fire.
Yeah. Yep.
And then 40,000 people die.
40,000.
40,000 of my townsfolk perished in the flames.
40,000 people die. 40,000.
It's so many.
I mean, I know
That's in the
unreal.
middle of winter, in the middle of a snowstorm, from
The-
two guys
the
being
whole
on
village
fire.
catches fire.
I
That
know,
whole
like in feudal Japan, like they made a lot of things out of wood and rice paper, right?
But that doesn't-
even still,
Yeah, there wouldn't be that population
no,
density.
there'd be like 500 people in that village.
yeah, there'd be a
But-
lot of fields in between. And
How far did this thing
And
spread?
the thing about that like for 40,000 people to die in a fire like that, it must have gone up so quickly,
So fast.
Like I assume everything was just doused in kerosene.
well, this is
It needed to be.
It was all doused in kerosene.
This is
oh, it's a
actually-
kerosene storm, not a
It's-
snowstorm.
yeah, that's what it was. It was kerosene.
So it's consistent.
Like
It's a
acid
little
rain.
consistent with what happens later in the episode when she's fighting the demons general and the army,
Gary Young's army.
Gary Young.
We need to talk about Gary Young.
We'll get to Gary Young.
We'll get to Gary
this.
Young.
Yeah.
But she throws a frisbee at this cart that their Gary Young's troops are, I don't know, carting around. It's full of fireworks or something.
I think it's gunpowder.
And then somehow it catches on fire. And then it's like a nuke.
There's a mushroom
cloud. So
how many?
If the village
It's like
had
7 barrels of gunpowder.
some of this like weapons enriched plutonium lying around.
Yeah, like those old scenes of nuke testing where the wave just tears through those burnt out shacks in the middle of Nevada.
Yeah,
it's like that, but just ripping through horses. And
and they all just melt. Like just.
But Xena and Gabrielle just do the old duck and cover. We'll be fine.
Gary Young's alright as well.
That's alright. Yeah, they know what's coming. And then a giant mushroom cloud.
Yeah, that is
probably another 40,000 people there.
If that's
insane,
I could sort of see how
a
slight fire.
That's how explosive everything is in this world.
Seriously, that last episode is bananas.
Yeah,
too many things.
So
too many
much
things
shit happened.
We have to talk about Gary Young.
All right, let's get to Gary Young. Oh, Gaz Young. Do we have a clip of Gary Young?
Your friend was a fine opponent. She provided me with one of the greatest trophies an honorable samurai could ever claim.
Gary Young, who played the samurai general, is just comically Australian. Like, comically.
Did not even try any sort of accent.
So
straight up Australian.
He's with all other samurais in Japan in the full typical samurai garb.
So my only thinking is on the accent. Maybe they
so like a southern Japanese accent.
Whoever's directing him put him aside. Said, Gary, all right, we need you to do an accent for this scene. Yeah, no worries, mate. He thought that they meant you got to ham up your Australian accent.
Okay, yeah.
So he laid it on even thicker. And
You'll
you're like, we don't have time for a reshoot, so this will have to do. You just roll with it. You're an Australian samurai now.
Australian samurai. You do me the greatest honour as a samurai could have. Burn this village to the ground.
Cobber.
If I cannot do the same to you, then I ask you to grant me a noble defeat. Please remove my head in one stroke.
Deep didgeridoo.
It's far too Australian.
It was just so, seriously.
So out of place.
Just the thing is, it just points out how bad the Australian accent is for anything.
It stands
it's so
out.
impractical.
It's so
reminiscent
stark.
of old mate in
Who's the guy
from Avatar? What's his name again?
Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington. He's in a movie about Greek gods.
Oh, really?
And he plays.
yeah.
I don't know. He plays
Clash of the Titans?
Yeah,
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
He plays like a Greek demigod, and he's just got a full blown Australian accent. And again, everyone sort of speaks in that sort of pan
Generic sort of Hollywood accent.
Yeah.
Hollywood accent that you have for like a
It
period
just
movie.
appeals to all demographics.
Yeah.
Except Sam Worthington didn't go down that
But
road.
he's just gone 1950s like Ballarat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He knows what's up.
And
In hindsight, he was probably poorly cast for that.
Him and Gary Young probably.
Gary Young is a national treasure of Australia.
Yeah.
That man, he was like, it was just phenomenal. That at no point in the filming of this they thought maybe we should recast this guy.
Something
I don't
isn't
think this
right
is working
here.
out. The Samurai General sounds like he is from
Sounds like John Jarratt.
He sounds like John Jarratt. It sounds like he was born in South Perth. Can we get Gary Young on the podcast?
I reckon we could.
I reckon he'd be up for it.
We should get Gary Young on the podcast.
Something you touched on before, Scott, is the characters' relationships and decisions springing out of nowhere. So Xena falls in love with, what's her name?
Kimmy.
Yeah. Out of absolutely nowhere.
But they just say that she falls in love. She's like, she broke my heart. And then at no point do they ever have any sort of romantic relationship.
No.
There's not a lot of chemistry between them at all as well.
Which is why the bit where she burns down the village with 40,000 people makes no sense. Because Kimmy goes, kills her father and thus, I don't know, betraying Xena or whatever, while Xena's just there to get the money, and she screams where's just give me the money! Where's my money? And then Kimmy goes and kills herself. Then Xena chops her head off in anger. And then it's cut to 2 weeks later where she's in an absolute mess.
Yeah.
Because,
she's cut her own hair off.
Yeah, she's supposed to be grieving or something.
Yeah.
Why?
They just explained it away with that, putting that traditional Japanese music over just slow-mo shots of Kimmy while Xena's watching. Obviously, that's true love.
The score of that show as well is just so bad. Like it's cringeworthy.
Yeah.
That's one thing I just picked up on. Like even the first episode and the last episode, and the only two we watched. As per the actual frame of this show, our podcast.
That's like the sort of MO of the whole podcast.
What?
What we do is we watch the.
Morgan's been watching
everything. Oh my god! All the time I could have saved.
So much Jag.
The score. That's all I think about. I'm a big David James Elliott fan, and Paul Don. Do you reckon Donald P. Belisario might have had? Do you reckon there was an Air Force episode of Xena?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It would have been like Birdman or Griffins or something. But I don't know.
So I want to push ahead towards the end where Xena has a big face-off against that ghost demon monster.
Yeah.
At the top of
Yoshi?
Mount Fuji.
What's his name?
Yoshi, yeah. From the Mario series.
No, it was.
That's why he was eating a long tongue.
Yeah. Oh no, it was something. It was Y. It was a Y name. Okay, it doesn't matter. Anyway, let's just go with Yoshi. Kirby.
Which they were calling Mount Fuji-san, which apparently translated is Mount Fuji Mountain. So they just didn't really need to add the sun.
No, they didn't.
Just to try to make it sound even more authentic.
Yeah. It didn't feel. I must admit, it didn't feel very authentic, despite Gary Young.
You didn't say that. You don't think that was shot on Mount
Going
Fuji?
to the top of Mount Fuji.
No, I reckon that was probably shot in downtown Auckland.
I think you're right. The soundstage in Auckland.
But I'm sorry. Let's just go back to the town and the 40,000 fatalities. Who designed that town?
It makes no sense. Is there like a fuse that connects every house? So as soon as one of it gets lit, it just rips through?
If I'm going to hell, I'm taking you all with me.
Or reverse sprinkler system.
Yeah.
So a normal sprinkler system in like an apartment building or something would work where if it senses fire, it the whole floor or whatever will start dispensing water.
Yeah.
But it's just flames. So all the houses have reverse sprinklers. They were still like, this was early sprinkler systems. So they were working through the kinks.
The basis for the idea was there.
Yeah. So Xena's not liable for any of that.
Okay, so this is these crooked sprinkler companies that swept this under the rug.
They were negligent. Exactly.
It's where the adage "you can't fight fire with fire" came from.
They worked it out
That
from that.
instance.
Up until then, they didn't know that was the case.
Jesus Christ.
They just assumed that you always
that's
fought
why.
fire with fire.
The only other way that I could think that would be possible is if, because it was winter, they had some sort of like penguin strategy where everybody was like really like jammed in together.
In the town hall, all doused in kerosene to keep themselves warm.
Obviously.
Well, watching this show though, it really shows how far TV has come in the last like 15 to 16 years.
I don't know, what's a good fantasy show that's on par with... Oh, it's Game of Thrones. Blows this out of the water.
Yeah. I couldn't believe you were... I was wondering where you were going with that.
1 minute of Game of Thrones would cost more than this entire series.
That's true, but it was just so... I love the absurdity. I thought it was fantastic. It was so entertaining.
It is... Well, I think that's part of why it lasted
like
so
they just could
so
get
long.
away with whatever they wanted. Screw it, we're going to have an episode in Japan. It's going to be great. We get Gary Young.
Don't worry, I got a guy.
He went there when he was 12. I always thought that Xena was sort of like Hercules in that Xena was already a mythical character prior to the show.
Yeah,
but did they create Xena for the show? There's no...
I don't know.
I don't like... She's...
There's no Xena lore prior to this, right?
I don't think so.
She wasn't a comic book character. She wasn't a...
We probably should have done some research on that.
I tried to, and I'm pretty sure...
It was a
that
character.
Was
well, it was
the
a character.
beginning of Xena.
Yeah, it was a character made for Hercules, and then well received, and then carried into its own.
And it is just like it's made for fan fiction. There is so much.
I
was having a bit of Google around. That's very interesting.
What, top 5? Would be in the top 5 in terms of just volume? Because I know Harry Potter is just head and shoulders. There's so much Harry Potter fan fiction.
Star Trek.
Oh, Star Trek, yeah. Then probably Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And then...
Probably Star Wars would be in there as well.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Supernatural has a shitload.
I don't think it'd be top 5.
Probably not top 5, no. But this, I reckon this would probably be up there because there's stacks of it coming from all angles.
The favourite one I saw was called All I Want to Do Is Bicycle, Bicycle, Bicycle. It's 18,000 words on Xena and Gabrielle just riding bikes around. Set in modern day.
What? 18,000
words.
All right, so you want to just start at the beginning? Or
The plot outline I have is Gabrielle really, really likes this whole cycling hobby Xena has picked up. That's all it says.
What the hell does that mean?
They're just like riding around the Alps, or what's the deal?
It's written like a diary, like, 7:34, Xena wakes up.
What?
It's bizarre.
Where's the conflict in this fiction?
No, there's no conflict. It's the dream.
Oh my god.
Do you find yourself lacking support in social or professional situations? Missing that voice of reinforcement to get you through the day? It sounds like you need the Backup Guy. The Backup Guy is a service that follows you around 24/7 and picks the moments where you need that extra bit of encouragement. The Backup Guy is perfect for job interviews.
Yeah, give him the job.
It's great for blind dates.
Yeah, give him a chance.
And it'll even help you receive the honour of a warrior's death.
Yeah, give him the honor of a warrior's death. Yeah.
So sign up to the Backup Guy today and receive an extra month's service free of charge. The Backup Guy, where we've got your back.
I'd like to speculate a little bit. So
Please do.
I'd say we have sort of traversed into speculation now.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon that she had a relationship with Julius Caesar.
Yeah, well, so the opening credits of the last episode, that
she's fighting Romans.
Yeah, and they like run through all the the cool stuff Xena does, and there's a lot of hot and heavy action with her and various men. So
yeah, and that was the implication with Draco, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the first episode.
Yeah. But
I think he either wanted to fight her or have her as his bride.
So I saw the name R.J. Stewart as one of the prominent writers. I think wrote the first episode and the last episode, or like co-wrote. Is that actually Rod Stewart's pen name?
It could be.
I'd say almost certainly yes.
He was in his prime back in the mid-90s.
Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart, yeah.
Was he?
Dude,
he was
very
I think
past his prime.
If you look at his tax returns, you'll see he was making more money in the 90s than he was any other
You
era.
look at you his account.
That was a very specific thing to
How do
say.
you know that?
I'm just saying, I just got a hunch. Right?
Well, Rod Stewart, I believe, peaked in the 70s, but
Well,
He's already in his 50s in the 90s.
Scott's his accountant, and he knows he made the bulk of his money in the 90s.
He would have had at least 3 greatest hits albums by the 90s.
Back when,
I think
the 90s was also the peak of TV shopping, and you would have got a lot of during daytime TV, Rod Stewart, the best of Rod Stewart compilations.
the ultimate Rod Stewart collections.
Yeah. Call in now and
all
get
those testimonials of people going,
six discs
it's
free.
got everything you want
Yeah.
of Rod Stewart, all of his
yeah.
music, literally every song he's ever done.
Yeah, all the best hits. Yeah. So Scott either is his accountant or he...
Or uses that name as Scott's pen name.
No.
And Scott, an 8-year-old Scott wrote that episode.
Scott was
You
Xena.
wrote Xena?
I wrote all of Rod Stewart's greatest hits.
Scott hosted the daytime shopping show.
As an 8-year-old?
Yeah. That sold these compilations.
Yeah.
He knows how many were.
I hope that's
So
your
how many of these compilations do you have left?
Go like podcast.
I got a warehouse full.
Is this the purpose of this? This is why you pushed us to do Xena, so you could sell these compilations.
I'm rebooting Rod Stewart's career, clearly.
God, I mean, like his 70s.
It's like the.
He's still got it, all right?
I tell you what, if you're a musician or a rock star, like Bill Simmons once said, if you get to 65, retire. Don't do any more live performances. I mean, look at Meatloaf. That was a disaster. The AFL Grand
Was
Final.
he even 65?
I think he was like 68.
It was a disaster when he was like 33.
He was. So you've got. Is it like the famous ET game for Sega or like Super Nintendo or something where they had to bury like 1 million copies in the desert because no one bought it? So you and these Rod Stewart.
No, you got to keep him. You got to keep him.
You haven't heard of that?
You're such a big Rod Stewart fan.
Am I the only one that's heard of that? You guys have heard of that, right?
What are you talking about?
There's something like 1 million copies of this ET licensed game that just didn't sell for Super Nintendo.
They buried them in the desert.
They just buried.
Why didn't they just get him incinerated?
Yeah, no, it's a thing.
Yeah.
The Atari video game burial.
Yeah. Okay.
Surely that's metaphorical.
New Mexico.
No, that's not real.
Yeah.
Mexico.
That's not real.
How many copies?
Unsold copies of E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Well, for starters, that's a terrible concept for a game.
Yeah, I know. What do you do?
Around 700,000 cartridges.
So all
Buried in the New Mexico desert.
Yeah.
There's got to be a Xena storyline about that.
so just uncovering all of the
There's got to be
The only way to get rid of
conspiracy.
them is to play them one by one and complete them.
lost treasure of ET. 700,000 souls that she condemned to the desert.
All right, look, I think we need to move ahead.
Yeah,
let's
that's-
move ahead to
that's-
reboots because this is getting out of control.
Logical conclusion of this segment. I don't know how we got onto that.
I cannot believe that we talked about that, but we did. All right, so reboots. So where we reboot the show that we've talked about into something new and fresh. Aaron, do you want to kick us off?
Something that jumped out to me was just their really tasteful, authentic depiction of Japanese culture.
Oh, it was beautiful, wasn't
naturally.
it? Very, 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 like you said, very, very tasteful.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of explore that a bit. It's a simple concept. It's just basically a travel TV show, where Xena travels through time and space to different civilizations throughout history, and just basically makes, like, she'll introduce herself, introduce the culture, making just broad, sweeping generalizations.
Oh, good.
As the show did.
It sounds like you're just describing the show itself.
Pretty much. And then she'll just maybe dress up in that country's traditional attire, like the geisha face, or
get drunk on the local
exactly
the local delicacies,
and then just go interview some locals, but just really patronizingly just mock them, basically.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
She's still going to carry around the disc?
Oh, yeah. Well, if they do take offense for some reason, I don't see why they would. If they do take offense, she just lays waste to their city.
Oh.
And burns them down, throws the disc out.
Takes out the nearest 40,000 people.
Yeah, drops a nuke.
Ooh,
that kind of thing. That's generally how each episode will end.
In a slaughter.
So think kind of like Russell Crowe's Fighting Around the World from South Park. That's basically what she's doing.
Okay, cool.
And it is called Xenophobia.
That's good. That's good.
Lucy Lawless's Xena?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keeping her.
I like that. That's actually hilarious.
Could be a difficult rating system to give it some sort of classification.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of letters written against it, I think. We'll push through, though. There'll be some fan fiction.
Web series.
It'll be worth it.
You can get anything off the ground online now. It doesn't have to get picked up by a network.
We'll use the money from Scott's Rod Stewart albums.
We can sell them.
The ones that are buried in the Northern Territory.
Yeah.
But don't tell everyone where they are.
They'll never find them. It's a big place. Scott, what have you got? What did you reimagine Xena as? I mean, it'd be hard to reimagine this show. I mean, it covers a lot of bases.
Well, I've decided to pick up at the end of season 6. It was sort of ambiguous as to what happened with Xena, as to whether she was like a ghost or whether she got corporeal form back or whatever. But I've decided that she's dead. She's a ghost. People can like see her, but she can't touch anything, right? And ghosts, they don't have a limit on their lifetime. They just go forever. She can't, as explained in that final episode, like, she can't come back to life because or else those 40,000 people or whatever can't go to heaven or whatever it is. So
makes sense.
Yeah, crystal clear. So anyway, so she's a ghost. We've progressed forward to almost modern day time. It's 1992 and she's in Manhattan. Gabrielle's dead. She's long since perished.
92, you say?
1992.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that I was clear on that.
1992.
I feel there's got to be a reason for it. I know that.
Manhattan.
So, yeah.
And so she's just walking around the streets at night and she sees a young girl being attacked by a thug. And so she goes to attack him. Obviously, she can't. And all she's really got left to defend people is she's got her, like, warging abilities. Because, you know, how she can, like, when she's a ghost, she can, like, go into the mind of a bird and go, like, fly through and stuff.
Yeah, that's something we didn't talk about.
Yeah. Probably should have brought that up.
Yeah. Anyway, she can turn into animals.
She can anamorph.
She can.
Yeah, she's basically an animal.
She can haunt animals. I don't know.
Yeah. That last episode was a wild ride, but go on.
So she's like, well, that's the only way I can save this girl. But she like looks around. They're in Manhattan. All there is like rats running around on the streets. So she can't do anything. Bit desperate, she looks over and sees a touring 1991 3 Series BMW. And warges into it. So then, as a car, she goes and like saves the girl, like runs the guy over, and then like opens the door, picks her up, and drops her home. And then tries to like warge out of it back as like a ghost, but she's stuck inside of this BMW. And so basically, she's just driving around Manhattan in New York, just fighting crime as a 3 Series BMW.
Is this a prequel to Sex and the City?
Could tie in.
Yeah,
could
same universe.
We could have some
universe.
crossover episodes.
Same universe.
So anyway, the show title is Beamer, the Road Warrior.
Why 1992?
Yeah, why 92?
Because she's a 1991 3 Series BMW, and it's got to be after that, obviously.
Why did you choose a 91 3 Series BMW?
I don't know. Why anything?
You like that card?
Why any of this?
I thought you were going.
It's a great question.
When you were
Ghost?
saying
Patrick Swayze Ghost?
No, I thought when you were saying 92 or early 90s New York, and she's looking for something to go into, The Beast Man.
Yeah. Okay.
That was
I know.
finished in 1990.
When was Ghost? Was that late 80s or early 90s?
Around that time, early,
yeah.
around that time.
What if she runs out of petrol?
She fills herself up.
How does she do that?
How does she?
Oh no, actually, I suppose in the 90s there would have been the attendants would come out.
Oh yeah.
So someone would have just
How did she
yeah, there you go, and then she speeds off.
Yeah, I mean,
How did her spirit haunt a car?
I think maybe she has like a garage that she can go back to. This is like sort of like a Brum situation.
I would have
Like,
thought
if you
she-
imagine
a kindly
Brum,
old mechanic.
because she's a haunted car. I feel like you wouldn't need to fill it up with petrol.
Okay.
Yeah, if
Runs
you're
on-
a
Yeah,
ghost,
because like it wouldn't break
Ghost.
down. You wouldn't have to go and
yeah,
get
you're
service.
it's a ghost car.
she's not a ghost.
Yeah. But she's a ghost. But
She's a ghost.
the car runs on spirit energy now. When did Knight Rider sort of peak?
84.
80, yeah.
So this is post Knight Rider, pre Sex and the City.
Yeah.
There's a gap there.
Anyway, Beamer, the Road Warrior.
Okay.
Morgan.
My reboot. Oh, that was a bit of a voice break. My reboot. So
No, I don't. Sorry, I don't want the pressure of going last.
you want to jump in?
Yeah, can I jump in?
Of
I don't
course.
feel like you don't get to go last much.
All right. It's highly unusual, highly irregular for you to interrupt me, but okay, you can go.
So I will also save the name reveal till the end.
Oh.
But it's a very similar show. Very similar show.
Two Scots?
No,
Or
no,
two
to
Xena?
To
Okay.
Xena. So Lucy Lawless is coming back as Xena, and playing the role of Gabrielle, I have French-Australian chef Gabrielle Gattei. So I'm not sure whether or not they'll be traveling around sort of the same time. Well, there's no real set time period.
No.
So it's similar. Like they just
Yeah,
go on
ambiguous
adventures.
time period.
They're off on adventures, and it is called Xena Warrior Sous Chef. And basically her and Gabrielle Gattei go around and they can teach these peasants how to cook something more than bread and cheese.
Nice.
And that's pretty much what I've got.
So is it
as
like-
always, I start with a name and work backwards.
So is it
How
like-
did you get to that name?
I don't know. 'Cause
Warrior
I was,
Sous
thinking,
Chef.
I was thinking about Gabrielle and then I was thinking about what sort of rhymes with princess, sous chef, Xena.
What rhyming dictionary are you using?
I don't know. It's just my own.
You make
You
some
make
hard
your
and
own
fast
No rhyme or
limits.
reason. Yeah, I just make my own laws. This is my show, right? I come into my house.
Do they have a
tell me how to run
signature
my show.
dish?
Well, I think Gabrielle Gattei, classic French cuisine. So a lot of like, I don't know, a lot of steak frites and maybe they cook some snails. And,
Yeah.
I don't know,
They eat a lot
I'm
of
going to
cheese
France
there.
soon. So when I come back, I'll
fact-finding mission.
Yeah, fact finding. I'm researching the show.
And then we'll reboot this again.
Yeah.
Because if these villages have just been pillaged, they're not going to have a whole
maybe
lot.
He does a
Yeah,
bit
do
of
they have
like,
the ingredients?
Who's that guy that you'd sort of like go into your house, not break in, like you'd be invited in with a TV crew, and he would make
Surprise chef.
surprise chef.
Oh, I was thinking about this the other day with the Ristos.
Yeah, Ristos.
Oh, what a
so
show
similar to
that was.
Ristos. Maybe they go. It's like a Ristos, but they just go to these villages that have just been pillaged. Like, well, it looks like all you've got left is some moldy turnips and some bread. So let's just see what Xena and I can cook up for you. And then they
Make a moldy turnip
they
sandwich.
Ristos the villages.
Ristos the villages. Okay.
Make hay while the sun doesn't. I don't know. These poor, like they've been through enough. These peasants.
Yeah.
So they
This will
needed-
cheer
they
'em up.
needed,
They
like,
deserve
turn
it.
things
Like,
around.
you know,
getting a celebrity chef and a warrior princess coming
They
in
deserve
and
a bit
showing
of-
how to cook. It's a little,
they
a
deserve
lot
a
in
bit
their
of
lives.
French fine dining.
So
Exactly.
is Xena using her like disc thing to chop up all the
She might
vegetables?
do. I reckon because she's the sous chef, she'd do a lot of the prep work. So,
Yeah.
so she'd do a lot of the chopping and stuff,
Yeah.
and then she'd probably swap the sword out for a ladle or something.
So a bit of a change in dynamic where now Xena's the right-hand man.
Yeah, to Gabrielle Gattei.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Xena Warrior Sous Chef.
Okay, that's hard to follow.
I like it.
Delish. With my reboot, there was, you might have remember earlier I mentioned I wasn't happy with the score of the show.
Yeah.
So one of the things I did, I themed the show
rescored
with
it.
a score. Yeah. So mine, I'll actually open with a name because I don't think my name was that exciting. Mine is Xena, the Chronicles of Space, in space.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's Xena, but it's now in space. And she has like a starship, and she's got like a little crew. And she's just kind of, it's kind of picture like Firefly type setup. So, she's out there, she's doing missions, and she's a starship now. The whole show will just be songs from Lionel Richie's back catalogue. It's all Lionel Richie.
That fixes the issue with the score then.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like Lionel Richie's I think he's a bit of a hero.
What does Dancing on the Ceiling have to do with Xena?
What is it? Why is Xena in space?
Yeah.
Okay, right. As Scott said, why anything?
Exactly. This show.
It has opened up the
you
whole
can do
line.
anything.
Yeah.
You
No
really
response.
can do anything with this. So I actually did a bit of a recast as well. So I've gone with Xena. I got Marina Bakarin, who is in Deadpool. She's I can't remember the character's name, but the wife of Deadpool. Throwback to you. Funny that you kind of did a bit of a throw to Sex and Civic, because I also did a bit of a throw to Sex and Civic. Gabrielle will be played.
JB Smooth.
JB Smooth. He's going to play Gabrielle. We need a wisecracking. He'd be Gabriel or Gabe or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we need a wisecracking.
Yep.
And he'll be a robot, obviously.
Yep.
Okay.
A car robot or just a regular?
No, just a regular robot. I mean, he could be the. I don't know. But, anyway,
It's the spaceship.
This is a spaceship
It
itself.
should be the spaceship.
He can be a Honda brand robot.
Honda brand spaceship. Okay, perfect. We've retooled that. I like it. So JB Smooth's the actual spaceship. Jay Lagaya is coming back as Draco. It's a New Zealand show. And then Boreas.
Set in space.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And then,
Space New Zealand.
Boreas, which was like that. We didn't mention him, but he was the like weird Russian guy in the last episode that was going around. I got Larry David to be in that. To be him.
Wait, who was he?
He was like the weird Russian guy that was like in Xena's original flashbacks in the last episode with the crazy mustache.
David.
Why
Why
Larry
you got
David?
Larry David.
Because I just think that's just hilarious. Like, can you? We're putting having JB Smoove and Larry David in a Xena reboot in space. That just
I
writes,
do love
that just
it.
writes
I
itself.
want to watch that.
That would just be so funny. And then just putting up with those two would just be that's half the show. It's just them going around and it's Larry David complaining about everything and getting into arguments with JB Smoove all the time. And then Marina Bakarin's just got to pick up the pieces the whole time. So yeah, that's essentially my reboot. I just thought
I like it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm on board.
yeah. So that's the reboots.
This was a very difficult show to wrap our heads around, just because, like you said, there was no constraints. Anything could have happened.
Yeah,
your mind runs wild.
The good thing for us, I guess, not so much of the first episode, but the last episode was basically a self-contained story.
Yeah.
They didn't bring in any characters that had previously been in, like, because we knew who Gabrielle was, and that was it.
It's pretty much just the Xena and Gabrielle show.
Which I don't know if you'd been watching the show for 6 years, is that the sort of finale you'd want?
Well, I get this.
It brings her like it's
Story
finale
to a close.
Yeah, but I guess she was all about the little mini adventures.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
I think
it doesn't make sense. It makes sense within the show.
Like if you look at the IMDb cast, there's heaps of characters that are in there for 43 episodes, 20 episode.
Yep.
So I'd say like I was talking the whole thing with the Romans and Caesar, that would have been an arc for a season. And in that last one, they probably wrapped up a little bit early, or they were just tying up some loose ends. So they probably had which kind of works for us in this format, because now we know what happened in the middle, probably 3-4 different arcs along the way. They went to they did Roman culture, Greek culture, probably went to Egypt a couple of times.
Rod Stewart.
Probably
greatest hits.
Rod Stewart. They probably I almost guarantee at some point they went to like South America and were fighting Aztecs.
They definitely went to Nevada and dug up the ET restaurants.
I almost certainly. But that's the sense I got. I assume they probably went to New Zealand as well. Or they were in there the whole time, I don't know.
I think they were.
Not allowed to go to New Zealand.
No.
Would have shown the show for what it was.
Exactly.
So is anybody going to watch any more Xena?
You know what? If it comes on in daytime TV, I might give it a spin, because it was enjoyable.
Yeah, if it's on daytime TV, if I see it, it's just on the background. I'll have a look, but I'm not going to go seek it out.
Yeah, I reckon I could last about 5 minutes just before I lose my mind and break the TV. It was just so frustrating to watch.
You'd think so. You'd probably get a few minutes in, and you'd see like an Australian or New Zealand actor that you knew, and then something
like
crazy
Gary
happened,
Young.
you'd be like, all right, I'm hooked for the next 5 minutes. I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I reckon that probably just about does it for us here this time around. Closing thoughts on Xena? Anything more?
No.
Nothing?
No, thank you.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's a very unsatisfying show for me.
It was batshit crazy. It was pretty. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we knocked it off.
I enjoyed the insanity. We didn't even speak about the water tower scene.
Oh god, we'll post a clip of that. There are so many things
worth watching the whole scene.
I mean, the last episode was an hour and 40 minutes.
Yep.
Of just insanity,
pure insanity.
But it was another fan suggestion, so thank you, Tom.
Tom from Melbourne.
Are we going to thank
him? Well, yeah, thank is a strong word.
Yeah,
just Tom
from Melbourne.
Tom,
we've got listeners in Melbourne. That's
believe
surprising.
it or not, most of our listenership.
Shout out to everyone all the way down in Melbourne.
Yeah, most of our listeners are in Greece and Japan.
Yeah.
But
Russia.
We'll probably leave it there then. Jeremy, welcome back and thanks for your time.
I hope I wasn't too much of a thorn in your side.
You were, as always. Aaron, thank you.
Thanks, Morgs. Just by the way, head over to our website, theincompleteseries.com. Throw us another suggestion. Hopefully, something better than this.
Give us some reboots as well.
Yeah.
And perhaps in the Sex and the Civic canon.
It's a growing universe.
Feel free to write Sex and the Civic fan fiction.
Ooh, that'll get very saucy.
I would like 18,000 words on
JB Smooth riding a bike.
Riding a bike, yeah, as a car.
And also, if you get a chance, jump on iTunes, rate and review if you can. 5 stars is always preferable, but, honesty is best. And I guess this time around, goodbye everyone. Scott, always a pleasure. Aaron, always a pleasure. And Jez, always a pleasure. We'll catch up with you guys soon.
Her courage will change the world.